Okay, we have to open the meeting. Okay,
5 o'clock. Would you
okay.
like to start again? Okay. We have Councilmember Christine Adamsack,
Here.
Councilmember Linda Hammer,
She's here.
Councilmember Gerald Kaminsky,
Present.
Councilmember Brian Nowak,
Present.
Councilmember Brian Pilarski,
Present.
Councilmember Rick Rushniak.
He's running a few minutes
He's on
late.
mic,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
Supervisor Diane Benchkowski.
Here. So first item of business is I'd like to make a motion. We go into executive session to discuss PBA collective negotiations. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Councilmember Nowak, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried. We're going to go into a short executive session, hopefully no more than 15 minutes. And then we'll come back into this, but this will keep running. The town clerk will not close out the meeting. So just give us a few minutes. So everybody that's going into the executive session, just press leave and then we'll open up the executive session. Thanks. Okay, so I text the town clerk to let her know we're coming back. So we'll just wait for her.
Supervisor, we're just waiting on a couple more people.
Okay. We are still waiting for a few of the board members to sign back on. Please bear with us.
We are all set, Supervisor?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session. I'll make the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Councilmember Adamzak, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Actually, we did exit at 5:43. Even though it's a little later that, and we really didn't start by the time we all got on, it was like 5:15 was the starting of the executive session. Okay, items of discussion. The first one we have tonight is the expansion of the Delta Sonic Car Wash on Walden and Union. So I'm not, James, are you taking over? Are you starting it, the presentation? From Benderson?
Hi, Supervisor.
Hi.
Um, Jeremy Brooks has the PowerPoint presentation. He's going to start it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just waiting for him to.
Hi, Supervisor and Town Board. This is Jeremy Brooks.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi. I can share my screen on this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, it actually says that hosted disabled from screen sharing.
Yeah, it says the host. It says the host is disabled screen sharing.
You should be good now, Jeremy.
Thank you. Okay. Let me know when you can see this.
I could see it.
Great. So we're obviously seeking a rezone at the existing Delta Sonic facility on Walden Avenue, along with site development and a variance relief for the proposed site improvements. I just want to kind of go over the existing site and the existing conditions before we get into the proposal. So the existing Delta Sonic site right now is a 4.16 acre. It's located at 2275 Walden Avenue, which is south of Walden Avenue into the east of Union Road. It's an existing site for us, and it currently contains a 4,975 square foot C-store at the front just here, a gas canopy with dual 10 pumps, so 20 stations just here at the front, a singular car prep part and stacking coming around the back, and our prep part pre-spray units just here with an existing car wash that comes up and exit out the top with drying stations on either side. We have a 4-bay oil loop located to the west just here. You come in the rear and out the front. An interior detailing belt and bay, which you enter in from the top side just here and coming out the bottom, just down here. And the site's currently zoned MS Motor Service in the red. To the west of us, located adjacent on the corner of Walden Avenue and Union, 2 commercial buildings improved with a Verizon and a Guitar Center. These are currently zoned C for retail. And to the east of us is Dunn Tire, which is over here, which is zoned MS for motor services. Both of these properties, the Dunn Tire and the retail plaza, are both owned by Benderson Development, and they maintain a cross access with the Delta Sonic property. To the south of us, along Schlenker, are a number of residential properties that are currently zoned M1 in green just here. There are 3 properties here, zoned M1 light manufacturing, that we have purchased. The site currently maintains connections on Schlenker Avenue, just down the bottom just here. 1 on Union Road at this point here. And then 4 accesses onto Walden Avenue across the front here. Currently walking through the site, and we do have some traffic concerns and circulation issues, which we are trying to improve with this new site development. So I just want to talk through current conditions that we have here. One of the major ones we have is with this double gas canopy at the front. Because of the tight lanes on both the north side and the south side, and with the dual pumps located at the top and at the bottom, it stops a lot of the circulation and traffic in this area, which is one of the busiest, most congested areas. So we're looking at this area, trying to improve that situation as best as possible, as this obviously has a knock-on effect for Walden Avenue, as well as keeping traffic and the flow for the site moving. We're also looking at the oil and the stacking for these oils right now. As you can see down here, we have the stacking for the oil just before you go into the building, which is right next to all of our kind of car wash stacking, which backs up as well to this area. And on top of that, we also have our detail exiting out, which is also trying to feed out and through this section. So we have very minimal kind of stacking for our oil lube that we're trying to increase. And we're trying to eliminate this crossover of the 3 services that we provide to be able to keep the traffic flowing for the car wash stacking, the exit for the detailing, and for the oil lube in this area. We also have numerous connection points throughout the site from east to west, which we will be eliminating as we find these cause confusion for our existing customers. So the proposal is for a rezone and site development. We're looking to amend the zoning classification of the 3 residential properties just down here, which total a 1.05 acre. We have purchased those, Delta Sonic have purchased those, and they currently will rezone that from the M1 light industrial to the MS motor service to incorporate into our site. We also are looking at taking a slither of land from the retail plaza to the west and rezoning that as MS so that we can create a good kind of access point, main access point for all of this plaza coming down just here. The total new site acreage for the Delta Sonic site will then be a 5.4 acre. The proposed site development, if you can all see this, we're looking to replace the existing double pump gas canopy with a new singular pump gas canopy. And this provides expanded drive lanes on both the south side and the north side of this canopy for enhanced on-site vehicular circulation and for additional stacking when you do wait for these pumps without causing backup into these lanes. We're looking to also replace the existing underground fuel tanks that service that canopy. They will be located out of the way, not in the drive hours of where our customers are, but in a different located area just here. And they will be the new double-walled state-of-the-art tanks and piping. We're also looking to expand the vehicular stacking area for the existing car wash tunnel. Currently, it kind of came down and back and through. We had about 40 cars existing stacking. This new stacking will actually create a 4-lane system coming down with two pay booths and 2 express lanes. So 4 lanes all the way through to a much larger prep hut unit, which is our pre-spray area. We currently have a singular. We will be looking at a triple pre-spray with a wet bay, which is for detail services to help improve the movement of vehicles and customers through and into the car wash. So that's an improvement from the 40 to a 60 vehicles being able to be stacked before we even get back up into here in the plaza area. We're also looking to eliminate one of the curb cuts onto Walden Avenue, which is located just here. That will be entirely closed off to not create any more confusion. We're also looking to add a 31 space employee parking lot at the rear of the site near Schlenker Avenue. Some outdoor vacuum units along the eastern side just here. And then also looking to enclose the rear section of this site with a detailed building expansion of 18,300 square feet. With these improvements, we're also looking at increasing our oil lube stack, which will come down and around. This will go from kind of the 4 cars that we could stack to before to 10 or more, especially if we start counting coming back before we actually impact the main plaza. And also helping our detail facility being able to exit much more freely without having to cross over all the car wash stacking lanes up to release them into this area just here. The variance relief that we have gone in for will be for a parking setback along Walden Avenue. I'm just going to pull up the engineering plan so we can see that a bit more clearly. It's just up here. Will be the setback for this curb line just here at 10.5 feet. Due to current conditions in this area, we want to widen this drive lane out as much as possible with a 30-foot lane on both the north and south sides, or 29 just on the south side, which will allow for good free movement of those vehicles around this gas pump island without interfering with the flow whilst you're trying to wait for a pump. So we'll be able to stack a car behind another car that is actually situated here. But part of that process is obviously to create these drive lanes around as well, which does cause a setback variance at the front. So the proposed is a 10.5 foot setback there. The required is obviously a 25 foot, but we do have existing conditions up here of about 6.7. And I believe the existing just here is about 17.9 feet. So that is to help with the traffic flow in this area, which is crucial for the congestion and not impacting on Walden Avenue anymore and improving that. The second variance that we are going in for is for a 6-foot high fence along Schlenker Avenue. I'll just bring you down here, which is this line just here. We're required to have a 3-foot. We're obviously proposing that 6 foot. This is to help shield the residents along Schlenker Avenue on the south side just here, so that they don't have to see any of the commercial property parking and stacking in this area. Along with that as well, we are proposing to heavily landscape all the way down and around the site. to help improve that as well. Which is shown just here. Traffic circulation, we obviously had a traffic impact study undertaken for the site that was submitted into the town. It went over the gas canopy circulation, improving the whole situation with the singular pumps and the wider drive aisle lanes on the north and the south. It also reviewed the stacking for the car wash from the 40 to the 60, helping relieve the neighboring retail plaza drive lanes, and increasing the singular prep up to the quad will also increase the efficiency of processing those vehicles through. And this will further reduce the stacking at this site for those cars waiting to get through the car wash, as the process times will be able to increase. The pre-spray unit is usually the longest part of the process for our car wash. So for us to increase that from a singular to the triple is a huge improvement on those timelines. The overall site circulation is very similar to what it was before, but obviously improving as this is an existing site, and we will be condensing those drive lanes with their surrounding areas in the neighboring retail plaza to stop further confusion, along with reducing that access point on Walden Avenue as well. The summary of the report basically was that the improved overall on-site traffic operations for circulation and stacking is an overall improvement. There is a decrease in the potential for on-site crashes with these improvements, and a decrease to the potential for spillback onto Walden Avenue and Union Road with all of these improvements. We also undertook a noise study for the site. The assessment was undertaken for all the proposals that we were looking at, and complies with the town zoning ordinance for sound levels for this site and the surrounding residential, commercial, and manufacturing facilities around us. The noise study did conclude that sound levels received at the surrounding facilities during peak operation hours of the car wash with the planned upgrades will not exceed the maximum permissible sound levels of the town of Cheektowaga. They also reviewed the proposed versus existing conditions for this, and the proposed ambient sound levels will not actually increase from existing condition, but be lowered compared to the existing ambient levels from existing conditions. A fence is required around part of the perimeter of the site to accomplish these levels, and the site proposal does show that 6-foot high fence where it is required. Utilities, we obviously had a SWIP prepared and submitted as well. The design for the storm system will be reduced for the 1, 10, and 100-year storm events via on-site underground storage tanks located in this area of the employee parking lot, along with bioretention beds in some landscape areas here and some landscape areas over here. Other studies we did have undertaken that were submitted were an archaeological phase 1 investigation, which summarized there was no impact with these proposed improvements. We also had a wetland delineation, which stated no areas of the site meet the criteria for state or federal jurisdiction wetlands. So neither reports required any further investigation. And lastly, I wanted to bring up the architecture being proposed. This will be a continuation of the existing site, the brick look that we use on the majority of our Delta Sonic sites, along with the blue panels and the arches. There'll be a mix of the glass panels as well for the oil loop building, which is just here and at the rear, and the detail building as well, just here. The prep hut and the pay boots will be a similar style, but using a metal panel, as you can see, as these are fabricated units, fabricated buildings for the most part. The colors will continue to represent the Delta Sonic branding of the blue in the areas shown as well, with our band going across the top. A pylon sign is also a part of the site plan. We're looking at relocating the existing pylon, which I'll bring up now. Our existing pylon sits currently in this position just here, and we are looking at relocating that and shifting it over to the side just here to try and keep this lane width open all the way down as far as possible before coming round. Even at this point here, we are still at 24 feet, so we still do have a good drive lane, which should not impact any of those areas. Overall, the proposed rezone is consistent with the Town of Cheektowaga comprehensive plan for this area. There are no negative impacts on the non-conforming residential properties along Schlenker Avenue due to the site design and the bufferings being proposed. There's no increase, but only a reduction in the ambient noise levels compared to existing conditions. And the proposed improvements will significantly increase our vehicular safety, both on site and on the adjacent roadways, while improving the quality of services being offered at this site. Overall, we feel this is a great improvement to the existing busy Delta location for both our customers and the surrounding areas. Are there any questions?
Jeremy, Brian Plarski here. Where are you guys at right now with going through the EAC, planning board, all that right now?
Brian, did you ask where we were at?
Yes, where are you at in the process?
We've met with the planning board, I believe, back in July. They asked us to go through both the traffic and the EAC prior to recommendation of approval. So we went through the traffic. Traffic had no further comments. They were happy with the site. And EAC, we're just waiting on the neg deck and engineering comments, which I believe is happening tomorrow.
Planning board did make a positive recommendation on the rezone, just wanted the site plan to go through the EAC and the traffic safety. And we're back on the EAC tomorrow and then the planning board. So I don't anticipate any issues at this point.
Thank you.
Brian, Linda Hammer, I'd like to ask a question. What is the ratio of green space that we lost with this project compared to what was there before?
Give me 1 second here. I believe it's in our chart. So we are overall hitting the required and provided landscaping for the site, and actually we are over on the interior landscape as well.
Okay, another question. The parking lot that you put in the area where the 3 houses were purchased, that's strictly for employees?
That's
Correct.
correct. That's firm.
Okay,
Yep.
and how many employees can park in there? It looks pretty big.
There's 31 spaces back here, I believe.
Okay, and
Correct.
you said there's going to be a 6-foot fence?
Yeah, we're proposing a 6-foot high fence all the way down here.
Okay, what kind of fence?
A solid board or a Simtech.
It's
seems
gonna
like-
match, we put a 6-foot fence on for the other development with the Guitar Center. It's in all
Uh-huh.
likelihood gonna match that fence that we put in and got approved, which is a board on board solid fence.
Board on board, okay. And that's your responsibility to take care of it
Yep.
too, so the neighbors on Schlenker don't have to look at this if it's falling apart.
No,
Correct.
the one that's existing is not falling apart and we will continue to
Mhm.
maintain the one we put up.
Okay, one other question about the lighting in the parking lot that we were speaking of, the employee parking lot.
Yes.
What type of lighting are you gonna put in there and how high are the poles gonna be?
So they will be dark sky compliant LEDs. Everything has been designed to the Town of Cheektowaga zoning code. So if there are residents there, it will be the lower height
Mhm.
pole required.
Okay. Well,
That
it
was included in our engineering package that was submitted as well with a lighting design in there.
it seems like you've pretty much used every inch of the property that you own. I still have a little bit of a concern for the driveway that exits and enters from Walden. I have seen so many people pulling out of Delta Sonic and going directly across Walden to go towards Union, which is really scary when you have a whole line of cars coming from the red light going east and you have someone pulling across and trying to go west and you have that median in there and they just go right across. And I've seen that happen quite a few times, and traffic wise, it's a scary thought.
Well, the project actually results in an improvement to traffic by closing the driveway and then improving the stacking. People will be able to get around the site and use some of the other access points that get cut off, especially the one on Union that tends to get backed up between the Guitar Center and the Verizon building. So, and we're closing the one to the right of the one on Walden, which will reduce the cars shooting out and going across. And the full access one on the right, that's remaining the same, but because people can navigate around the pumps easier, we're expecting them to more head out towards Union if they need to go to Union instead of making that turn. But again, that driveway is not changing. We're actually reducing the number of curve cuts for this project. So that is an improvement.
Well, I understand that. I'm just saying that that is a dangerous driveway when people go directly across from the driveway right by the car wash. The double driveway that you have. Yeah, that is a dangerous driveway. When people jet across Walden to try to get into the other side of Walden going west. That I've witnessed quite a few times. So it's kind of scares me a little bit that, you know, people should maybe just go to the right there rather than have the opportunity to go straight across.
Well, the project doesn't result in any increase of traffic, so we're not making that any, I understand it's a concern. We're not making that any worse with this project because we're not increasing the amount of traffic at the site. There's no new businesses going on. It's actually just enclosing areas we're currently using to detail cars. It's not something, I'm hoping with the improved access around the site, people will head to other directions instead of making that left, because currently no one goes out there and goes across the front of the gas pumps because you can't get out that way if you want to head out to Union. Some people just go straight out and make the left. With the rest of the improvements on site, people will be able to navigate the site easier and use some of the other driveways they currently avoid because of the interior stacking issues that we have. If you look at the existing plan, when on busy days, a lot of these areas get queued up and you can't get around the pumps. You can't get around the stacking to the car wash. So when you leave the car wash, you can't go left and go across the site to use any other driveways. This is actually going to help improve that situation.
So do you think a lot of people will use the driveway that goes to Union, or people will be exiting on Schlenker?
I think a lot of people will be using the driveway that goes to Union to make a right and go to the signal.
Okay, and you don't think anybody be coming out onto Schlenker and then cutting around?
Not any more than what's currently going on. Again, there's no increase in traffic with this. There's no new uses. So whatever the traffic we have is the same amount of traffic. We're just improving the circulation. So the
Well,
traffic
I'm
study.
just saying,
Yeah.
since you're closing the one driveway, you know, the one that entered in,
Yeah.
you know, it's just people are going to come in at the other driveway and they're going to have to drive all the way around the building to get into the stacking lanes. And then when they leave, they'd have to drive all the way back through where the pumps are to get over to the driveway for Union.
Yeah, that's, I agree with Councilmember Hammer. It looks like a lot of congestion, and I'm a little concerned about this, you're not widening the entrance from Union at all. But yet, once they get into the,
Actually, it's less congestion than currently exists. This plan improves the existing circulation on the site. If you go back to how it looks, Jeremy, this is a vast improvement. This is going to allow people to stack better, to circulate better, to access the driveways better. This actually improves the safety at all the driveways and all the circulation points. So it doesn't result in any more congestion. It actually results in less congestion, because currently, if you have the stack to the car wash, people are stacking all the way in and blocking off the driveway there. The oil change blocks the driveway there, and people stack all the way back. In addition, people currently can't get around the pumps when you have more than 3 cars there. So we lose the front and the back drive aisles at peak times. And currently you have 2 side-by-side driveways on Walden, which people shoot out of and sometimes shoot into each other when they're leaving. So this plan does the exact opposite than cause congestion. And we actually had a traffic engineer go through it and put that in writing. So it's a vast improvement over what currently exists for this Delta Sonic.
Okay, well, it gives us a couple weeks to look at it again. I appreciate you giving us the heads up on this first, and I'm sure we'll have more questions at the public hearing. But, you know, I think at least it'll give us an idea when you explain it to us, you know, you coming here tonight. So, I think that unless any other board members have any more questions, we'll move on. At least it gives us some idea what we should be asking at the public hearing.
Supervisor, Councilman Brian Noack here.
Yeah.
A traffic analysis or a traffic study was referenced a few times. I've got two questions on that. Is this a traffic analysis or is this a traffic study that's gone through, whether it's the state of New York or some other agency that's independent? Put another way, my question is basically, has this been hired out to a private firm directly for the benefit of the company, or is this an independent third party that's done the work?
We paid for the study to be done. It went through your traffic safety committee, which recommended in favor of it. The only DOT permit we need is to close the driveway. So we don't need a DOT permit because we're not generating any new traffic or opening any new driveways.
Wonderful. Can you provide that to the town board or do your part to make sure that that's provided to the town board, please?
You already have a copy of it. We provided it to the town with the initial submittal.
Okay, I'll take another look for that. I didn't
Yeah.
see it in our base camp software, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we can get, if you want another copy, all you gotta do is send me an email, but we gave the entire submittal, including all the reports with the initial application to Jesse, and it should all be up on Basecamp.
I can reach out to Jesse directly
Yeah.
and work to receive that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James and Jeremy Brooks
Right.
from Henderson. I appreciate it. And we'll see you in, I think, 2 weeks. You're coming back, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then we'll have our chance to revisit it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item of discussion is the proposed ice cream shop on Eris near William or Eris and William. What do we have for that today?
Corey.
Oh, okay, Corey.
Hi, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. Corey Auerbach from Barclay Damon on behalf of the applicant. Ari Goldberg is with me as well. So the applicant is proposing the adaptive reuse of an existing residential structure at the corner of William and Eris that is zoned commercial. So it's a non-conforming vacant residential structure. I'm going to attempt to share my screen and see how I do. Is the screen showing the site plan there? Great.
Yes.
So here is the structure at the corner of William and Eris. This is the existing building here. As part of the proposal will be a front patio that will be on the William Street frontage with a raised covered front porch area and then an at-grade seating area in the rear yard on behind the parcel and along the frontage on Eris. There will be a green space area with some outdoor equipment and some lawn area with playground equipment for customers, as well as the proposed parking, which will take access both from Eris and also from this area on William. Now, this is part of a 3-parcel development plan that are all owned by the applicant, which includes the convenience store, which is along William Street. There will be cross access among the 3 parcels. So there will be curb cut here and here, which will have cross access into the parking area, which will be in the rear, and also access from Eris. We are proposing fairly substantial buffering along the residential properties. Did the aerial view come up on the screen? Yeah, the Google Street View.
Yes.
So this is
Yeah.
the parcel here on William and Eris. This is the convenience store that is will have cross access. Again, this is a vacant residential structure, zoned commercial. You can see the three parcels here. This tree has been removed, as well as this garage. So this is really just a vacant parcel along Eris. This gives a little bit of a different perspective. As part of the development plan, we will require some variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals, including the number of parking spaces, the location of the parking relative to the front setback, and also for the front yard here along William for the covered patio and the at-grade patio area. This is the first time that the town is seeing the development proposal. We will be before the EAC tomorrow. Of course, we'll have to go to the planning board for a recommendation, but we wanted to present to the town board to receive your input, recommendations, suggestions, and excited about bringing this property back into productive use as an adaptive reuse project for the town of Cheektowaga.
Well, I have to say, it sounds exciting. I think we need something on that part of William Street, some new development, and it'll make it more like a walkable community. At least it's a good start anyway. I just am not sure how the residents are going to respond on Eris, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah, and we intend to do some outreach. We're really just starting the process. You'll note this is all commercial in this portion of William. There is, I believe, one residential property on the opposite corner. The town code requires notification of the rezoning to all properties within 300 feet. So we will be reaching out to adjoining owners, specifically those that abut the property on Eris, where we're requesting to do the green area and parking. Although we're providing substantial buffering for those properties, we're going to talk specifically to direct outreach to these parcels across Eris, the parcel to the south, and then the parcels that are behind. So that process is ongoing.
Corey, is that going to be a seasonal ice cream shop, or will it be opened all year?
That's a good question. The hope is that it will be open all year. I think that the way that the business is received by the community and how well it does will really be the determining factor. But there's a hope that it would be a year-round facility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, this is a public hearing, so you'll also be coming back again, I'm sure, when you have the public hearing, and then you'll have
Absolutely.
the approvals from the other boards. But I think this gives us a chance to digest everything. Does anybody else, any other council members have any questions while Corey's here?
Speaking of the public hearing, I just want to point out that that date was changed from the original resolution that went out for September 8th. It is September 22nd, as it's reflected in the new resolution.
Correct. Okay, Corey. Well, thank you very much. And Ari Goldberg, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you coming in and waiting for us. Sorry for the wait.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we have Jillian Gorman King is next on the list for her proposed agreement with Just for Kids. She had sent us the agreement to the board, so we should have a copy. I've looked it over.
Yes, I sent it out yesterday, Supervisor and council members.
Yes, right.
If anybody does not have it, I'm happy to resend it again. It was very similar to the one I sent out about 2 weeks ago, just stating the specifics of how the program would be run, what space they would be using in Alexander, and different things between the town and the Just for Kids or childcare network that would be agreed upon. Where I know I addressed some questions. Councilmember Pilarski had questions about licensure. I did get more clarification on that yesterday. So because we have no idea how long this program will run, it can be over next month. It can obviously run through June. It doesn't go through the same licensure like SAC license as it would be if it was a continual program, because this obviously, as we all hope, this will be over by the end of the school year, and this will not continue into next year. So Just for Kids would not come back to Alexander once everything has gone back to normal with the schools. So they're operating as an exempt drop-in program, which they've actually talked with OCFS. They've received approval for that. They submitted the waiver that I told Councilmember Pilarski about. So they wouldn't need OCFS to come in and see the space. It would just be the Department of Health that would have to come in and do that. But all their staff do have all the background checks required by OCFS and are cleared by them. Are there any questions on that portion?
Has the process started with the Department of Health to schedule to get them in? Because I know they're focusing on, going out to restaurants, bars, and businesses to make sure that with COVID, everyone's sticking to the rules. So they're spread thin.
Yes, I believe so. And actually, we had started the process for summer camp too. So they said that will actually assist with it because we have an agent that works with us. So she's willing to work with us to figure that out. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions on that?
Well, I did have questions about the agreement.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, because I did, as I read through the agreement about the town's actual responsibilities, it raised some concerns for me, especially
Sure.
John Garzewski is in charge of facilities and buildings and the cleaning obligations. And he just
It
got
was-
back from vacation, so he said he
Yeah,
was going to call you.
I spoke with him today, and
Mhm.
actually, I read through it again yesterday. I believe it is just the minimal cleaning is what would be required of us. So basically, their staff would be required to disinfect, to wipe down any surfaces, to do any of that. And obviously, we would still come in and clean and mop the room and do everything we would normally do, clean the bathrooms, things of that nature. Their staff wouldn't be doing that, but they would be in charge of the above and beyond for the COVID-19. Like I said, they'd have to bring in the sanitization products. They'd have to utilize them anytime the youth left one room and went into another. Things of that nature would all be on them. We would just do what we've always been doing, I guess, is the way I understood it.
Yeah, but that's not how the contract is written. Actually, it looks like it's the town's obligation. I don't see anywhere that there's cleaning.
I believe it stated minimal cleaning. Let me pull up the agreement.
Yeah, Because if you
Here.
look under the town's obligations, that's saying, and well, that the maintain utilities.
Right. So
ensure
obviously,
adequate soap. There's going to be a lot more soap, and the hand sanitizer is going to be the big one because we're having a hard time getting a hold of hand sanitizers. And then about the cleaning, minimum daily custodial sanitation service to all spaces used. That's on the town side, not on their side.
right. But again, that's just normally what they would do if the space had been used by anybody, pretty much. It would still be wiped down and everything before it was over. Any group, even our group that would go in, obviously the cleaner would go in and do like a thorough cleaning. Am I incorrect in that assumption? Or because I can talk to them and fill them in. I
Well,
just thought
yeah, I
that was
think
the
you're
case.
going to have to, because it sounded like John doesn't have the staff to do that.
Well, Chris is there every day from 3 to 11, the cleaner at Alexander. So I don't see why he couldn't do it because the program ends at 3:30. And then if there's anybody extended, would leave at 5:30.
Mhm.
And I don't think anybody would be utilizing the space after them, except for when and if we have our basketball program, but my staff can handle that. And we can talk to John about figuring out. John and I had also talked about potentially figuring in the budget. We've had a part-timer at Alexander to help out the cleaner in the
Mhm.
past. So we had talked about that, keeping on one of his part-time staff to do that potentially, or bringing back another part-time person to do that, like bringing them on at say like 6 o'clock, like 6 to 10 or something like that.
Okay, yeah, because I talked to him probably around 3 o'clock, and it didn't sound like he was prepared for this yet. The other question is about ensuring the building's internet technology infrastructure.
I actually already spoke to Lisa about that and Mark and
Good.
what we can actually do, because we have the 4 Wi-Fi sites right now.
Mhm.
She said we can actually create a whole other like site that could be specifically for this program. So it'll have no bearing on, like, if anything happens and say that internet goes down, has no impact on any of our services, on any of our technological devices. It's completely separate. Like, it could just be labeled,
Yeah, and that's fine, but there's a cost
Yeah.
involved.
Lisa doesn't
Yeah.
believe there would be. Mark would just have to set up a separate one unless we needed like more Wi-Fi, which then if we did, I would have to, we could put in the contract that if it's like the same allotted amount of Wi-Fi that is already utilized, we would cover it. Anything over that, they would be responsible for. I did tell her that as long as Lisa said, as long as it's the same amount as what is used on the 4 other the public one, the one you have to sign into, it
Mhm.
shouldn't be anymore. Mark would just have to set it up. And she said it shouldn't take that long.
Okay, maybe I'm not sure if she knew there were 50 kids, you said, per day?
They won't all be utilizing it at once though.
Okay, well,
Yeah. At most we talked about like half of them, like 20 to 25. That's what I spoke to Lisa about, because they'll obviously be in separate areas doing separate things, and then rotating. So there would never be a point when all 50 would be on. And even with the 50, Christy and I spoke, and Councilmember Pilarski, I'm sure knows this as well and has dealt with it. Even if you say 50, you almost never have all 50 in a day. If you open it for that, some days you have 30, 35, some days you have 40, some days, you might have 20. So we're not expecting the full 50 on a regular basis either. They just want to open it up because they know people are going to need different days of the week. Different weeks are going to be different, and they're going to have it be, you can register daily. So you only have to do one day. So that's why they wanted to open that up.
okay, because that is a lot of extra people in that building compared to what they normally see.
Right. And again, they would stay just on the first floor, and they would stay from the multipurpose room over to the west side of the building. We could even have them come in and out that side exit, because you can actually get to the gymnasium through the multipurpose room. So there's no need for them. They're only utilizing the gym, multipurpose, and then those 3 other rooms on that side. There's 2 bathrooms in those quote senior room that it's called. There is 2 bathrooms that can be designated male and female. So there's no reason for them. There's sinks, there's everything they would need on that side of the building. So they should not have to interact with any other population in the building.
So
Okay,
on that topic though, actually, which is a good point of, going around the rest of the building. What is the core? You said they would come in through the side doors, because if we have the doors open at the parking lot, are we going to have a monitor there to make sure people aren't coming in? Because that building's technically only open by appointment, no different than town hall right now. So would we need a monitor for that building as well? Or are we going to have them come in directly straight to the childcare, side of the building and retrieve their kid or drop their kid off and not be able to wander off? And will those doors be secured so the public just doesn't walk in those doors to go to plumbing or building and inspections also?
What we could do, actually, I have 2 ideas. The multipurpose room has 2 doors that our windows are right next to them. So they have staff there at 7:45. They could have somebody stationed there. And when they see someone pull up, they could open the door, allow the child in, sign them in, shut the door. And that person could be in charge of like sign in. And again, that would be on that side of the building. The parent would drive around to the back parking lot there, and they could even exit through that little I call it a breezeway, but in between the ice rink and the Alexander Center, not have to go back around the front. They could just exit out that way if necessary. But again, all this stuff can be discussed. I just want to be clear. The only reason I put it in under waiver is for it to be approved for the supervisor to sign it when everybody is in agreement. Because if everybody agrees tomorrow and everything is hashed out, or even next week, I don't want to have to wait for another town board meeting in order to allow people to register and allow the program to go forward. Even if it doesn't go forward and it is approved, then it just dies there. My thought was to get it approved today for it allowed to be signed, and then we can hash out all these details, but at least that resolution has gone through so it can move quickly once everyone is in agreement. And the parents obviously need to know care and things like that as soon as possible. So I just didn't feel like waiting until the 8th for something that started the 14th was really going to work out. So again, the resolution isn't to say that we're definitively going to enter into this MOU. It's just allotting the supervisor to sign it once approval is given. Does that
Yeah,
work for
do
everybody?
Do you have a cost though that's gonna cost us? I really didn't think it was gonna cost us anything, but then when I look,
It's not going to cost us anything. We're
Well-
just doing in kind. The supplies that I say like that we would provide
Yes.
with graphs, we're going to be out of, I talked to Legislator Myers out of the legislative funds that we received.
okay, good.
That we hadn't utilized yet. So it wasn't going to be any taxpayer dollars involved.
So are
Okay.
we charging just for kids any type of rent to use the building?
If we do the cost, it's currently $36 per person per child. If we do charge them rent, that cost will increase. So my thought was if we could give them that in kind, then obviously that's kind of our goodwill to the population to kind of keep the cost lower. If you want to charge them, they're fine with that, and they have run the numbers already. Like I said, it would just increase the cost to the parents. That's all.
Are you still having the We3 over there
Yes, we
too?
will. Yes, we will. And that's why we have it on the west side of the building, because then the We3 would be on the east side, and they're actually going to be coming in and out that side entrance right below engineering. The parents will bring them to that parking lot. They'll come in and then they'll exit. The parents are not going to come in the building. They're just going to walk the child to the door. They'll be temped. They'll walk in, and then they'll walk the children to the door and hand them over to the parent. So the children will actually, other than going to the bathroom, will not leave that We3 room either.
Okay, good.
And they also, I don't know if it was clear on what I sent out too. We are going to have the We3 kids wearing masks, except for snack. We're actually going to use it as like a training for them, since it is only a 2-hour period. Obviously, if there's issues, we'll work with them, but we kind of want to use it as like a training for these kids in case this continues, into next year. So, and the kids in this program will wear them unless they're able to be socially distanced, like if they're eating lunch and they can sit 3 at a table, or they will be going outside for as many of the programs through this as possible. When I discussed with Christina, the director, she said we'll try and get them out as much as possible. So the kids don't have to keep the masks on. They can do instruction out there. They can do, lunch out there, anything. So.
I just don't understand the whole concept of how they're going to follow all the school districts, different programs with kids from any district in Cheektowaga. That's going to be crazy.
Well, most of them are similar. That's why only the 4 districts are in there. I believe they're similar in that the masks only have to be worn in common areas and when they can't socially distance. So like at those schools, once the kids get to their desk, as long as the desks are 6 feet apart, they can take their mask off, is my understanding. And that's what they go by. They said they go by the district in which the program is in. So
I think I'm talking more about the curriculum that is going to be sent in for each child. I don't know, if any of you have been through this before with your kids, but I mean, I know some districts are expecting their kids to be on that computer every day, pretty much all day with a couple breaks, even though you are not going to school on those days, you are still going to do remote learning. So you will actually have 5 days of school, 2 in a classroom and 3 remotely. So, there's a lot of, I think there's going to have to be a lot of communication between this program and each school district and each grade level that these kids come from.
And they did say that once the parents register, they will communicate with them all individually and see, because even there might be some that they can't service their needs, depending on what it is. So that's why the sooner the better for it up, because they obviously want to do this. Some of the districts were very happy to hear that they were doing this because they were scrambling to look for things. So I think they'd be willing to work with this program, and they are in 2 of the districts for after school. So at least the districts are familiar with them which is also good. But yes, you're right. They're not going to be able to service everybody. And if they do have to be on Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi becomes an issue, then it's going to have to be the parent Just for Kids program, in the district to figure it out. It wouldn't be on the town.
You
to
keep
figure that
saying
out.
4 districts, there's 7 districts in
Right.
Chickawatt.
Correct. There's only 4 districts listed in the agreement that I believe all have the same mask guidance, and that's why they put them in there. That's
But
my
the other
understanding.
ones are allowed to go.
Oh, yes. Anybody they even mentioned, because some of I think Maryvale contacted them and had asked about teachers who weren't residents. And they said because they're going to open it to residents first. And then they said once, if they didn't have it filled, then the non-residents would be able to register. And that would be the teachers. Obviously, we could even give maybe teachers at the district second preference or something.
Joe, Brian Nowak here. Can you clarify the age levels that the kids would be for this program?
5 to 12 is the current age level that they're looking at, which is the same. We kept most things the same as our summer camp. 5 to 12. The initial hours of operation are 8:30 to 3:30, but they're offering an extended afternoon time till 5:30 for an additional, I believe, $10 or $12 price tag. And that's, again, very similar to how our summer camp runs. So we're assuming the population is familiar with all those guidelines and can work within them. So that's why we tried to emulate that as much as possible.
Okay, thanks. And in terms of the kids that are coming in and all the curriculums and that, I know some of the schools, their reopening plans have got different plans for in-school instruction for kids that need some type of special instruction for whatever type of reason it may be. I can't speak to what every single kid that'll show up for this program, but what I could say is that the school districts, in some of the exceptional cases, have already put in place contingency plans to deal with those exceptions. So we shouldn't have to deal with as many of those with this program.
That's correct. Actually, most of the school districts I've spoken to, if the child has an IEP or has some other issues, I believe they now have waivers that the parents can get where their child can attend all 4 of the days. Obviously, Wednesday seems to be a total virtual day for everybody, but it's my understanding if the child has severe needs that cannot be met elsewhere, that they can then go all 4 days.
Right, and even with that, being the case, there's a lot of different curriculums and grade levels involved here, like Councilmember Hammer was getting to. It's something that can be worked through.
Correct. And they are running this program. This organization is running this program in Grand Island, Amherst, and Clarence as well. And I know Amherst at least has 4 of its own districts, so they are dealing in other areas with this. So I'm sure they're well versed in how to address that. And like I said, my thought was the reason for getting this in, the more time, the better for everybody, us, the organization, the parents, but again, I totally understand doing our due diligence and going through everything, but at least if the supervisor is allotted to sign it, and again, we all understand everything in 2 days, then great. And they'll shoot it out right away. They'll put up registration.
Oh.
They're ready to go right away.
Let me just ask real quick, because we have to go still do our agenda items, but Jill,
Sure.
so if we do this, though, we probably are going to have to start from scratch with this agreement, because it mentions nothing like about insurance, terminating
It does
agreement.
mention insurance. It mentions they have the $1 million policy and then a $2
Oh,
million.
it does, you're right, okay.
Yeah, the town will
But
be.
I need, and the attorney might make some changes also about, the cleaning has to be straightened out, because is it
Yeah,
under the
and
town?
that's fine. Again, that's completely fine. Just let me know what
Yeah, we're gonna have to
all
make
you'd
some
want. Yeah, just let me
restaurant-
know what you'd want. I'll present it to them, because they also then present it to their legal crew and come back to us. But
Yeah,
the attorney did mention some legalese that he wanted added in the agreement, which they presented their attorney and didn't have issue with, and I believe it is in there. So it has been looked at, but it absolutely can be looked at again.
yeah, because I mean, when you look at some of the things, and I think even though they have specific holidays, you have to make sure that you check the town's holidays. Because if that building's closed, because the town's closed those holidays, make sure
Correct.
it corresponds with schools.
I think most of those holidays actually align with school holidays, but
Okay.
I could absolutely.
They
check on
probably
that.
do, because,
Yeah,
you know,
we can even, if you want, we could even list them out in the agreement. That shouldn't be a problem.
okay, yeah, because as long as they're open to some changes to the agreement, just to specify and clarify a few things.
Yeah, that
And
was
make
just a quick template that they sent me, so I'm
Oh,
sure
okay.
they are. She just, I told her how I wanted, that time was of the essence, so she was able to get it to me. So
And
we
I
kind of had something to work off of. is
Yeah,
essentially
I
what it
know,
was.
I know you want to, I just want to make sure there's really no cost to us, like.
Oh, yeah,
extra for the
absolutely.
town.
I completely understand. And like I said, in no way did I think today it was going to be absolutely, yes, we're going through with this. My
Mhm.
thought was just to give us kind of that foundation that we can do this moving forward, and it doesn't have to wait for another meeting. That was really my only.
Well, I did
intention.
put it under, the suspension of rules about authorizing me to sign it.
Mhm.
But I guess if it didn't go through with them agreeing, let me ask Attorney Dujak, are you on the line? Maybe if they didn't agree to our proposed agreement, then we could always rescind this resolution.
Well, I mean, I went over the agreement with Jill and I gave her the indemnification language, which is what she's referring to.
Right.
But if you don't approve it tonight, you can bring it back instead of having to rescind it and go through that
Well,
all over
I know
again.
what
That's
she's
your-
saying, though. She wants to know what direction to go in. Like,
Well, and just to clarify, the resolution does say that you are only sign it once it's been approved by the attorney. So
Hmm.
obviously, if all the board members and the attorney didn't approve it, then I
Mhm.
believe the resolution, it wouldn't have to be rescinded, I guess. Is
Right.
that correct?
Well,
Because of the way we worded it? I tried to do it so that it wasn't definitive.
well, and I think we need John Jay to approve it also. So maybe we could
That's
just
fine.
add upon approval by the town attorney and the facilities general crew
Mhm.
chief, something like that,
That's fine.
because he's going to be impacted by this. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
If we
that-
could add maybe upon approval by the town attorney, the town board, and the facilities crew chief to that, would that be
Mhm.
sufficient?
Right. Well, tonight, the town board would be approving it by resolution. So. the
If I
two
could just make a
final-
suggestion,
Sure,
I
yes.
mean, if you have conditions, I mean, nothing against um, Johnny J, but if you have conditions that you're interested in having on there versus having other folks have the ability to either approve or disapprove. I mean, I think traditionally it would be my office that would approve, subject to whatever conditions the town board sees fit. That's just a suggestion. I mean,
That's true. So we can just leave it like that.
I believe that language is in the resolution.
well, we traditionally do that just so the board
Right.
can approve things and subject to, what other modifications need to be done. At least won't hamper the progress of whatever we're trying to move forward.
Okay. All right. If you think it's covered, then I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that we can handle all this. I think it's a great plan, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
something we need.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to see if I can set up a call, even maybe we could do a Zoom call with the director, or have her, just speak to a couple of you, whatever works. I mean, they're very willing and flexible, but obviously it's coming from the ground up. So it's a little more legwork on their part, which is why I'm trying to assist as much as possible, because I agree it's well needed. And this way the town can offer it with the least amount of liability and the least amount of taxpayer dollars out the
Mhm.
door. So I think it's kind of a win-win.
Well, right. And it's a use for the building if you're not using it during the day right now. 'cause
Right.
they're really-
And yeah, we would just really be focusing on actually outside programming and night programming right now. So
Okay. All right. All right. Let's, thank you, Jill. If you just want to
Yep.
stay on real quick, because we're
Sure.
going to go through the resolution items then. Because we have to adjourn and go into the regular meetings. So I'm just going to move on to the town board resolution items real quick as resolution, there are actually quite a few resolutions on the table tonight that were tabled from the last meeting, but I'd like to pull resolution 1, 2, and 3. Anything regarding the Royal Car Wash, yes.
I'm the mover on the item and I agree with you. And I'd also like to pull the resolutions.
Okay, thank you, council member. So, Madam Clerk, we're gonna pull those 3 because we need to complete the application and they're going to do a traffic study for us.
Okay, I believe we have to do that though at the meeting because they were tabled, so they have
Oh,
to.
true.
They have
Okay.
to be part of the meeting.
Good,
So
good.
once we read them, then you can ask to pull them.
Okay, and then we also have resolution 4 that was tabled at the last meeting. And we're gonna try to make a little modification to it, Madam Clerk, and we'll have to do that at the regular meeting also. And, you know, it's just some modifications by taking out security, to provide security services, instead say provide building monitoring services there. And I think it's at one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whereas wherever it mentions security. So when it comes to the meeting, I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay,
And if anybody else wants to jump in, if there's any other concerns with that resolution. And then on to the regular resolutions tonight. We have the appointment of 5 new police officers, and Chief Slawinski will be here to introduce them tonight. And resolution 2 is the warrant. Resolution 3 is approval of the annual amendment plan from the CDBG 2018 plan. There were funds left over, so we can reuse that money. And we've talked to, we had Rachel Straker. Actually, she should be on tonight. Does anybody have any questions of her about this? But I mean, there's quite a bit of money she was able to find for us to help us with the Delavan Road reconstruction.
I think she did a great job moving that money over and reallocating.
I do too.
A great job on that.
Yeah, and we got to get that going. So any questions while she's here? Okay, resolution 4 about the public hearing to amend the solid waste law. We're going to pull that. And I think we can do that tonight, just at the work session.
Correct. Yeah.
is there
In the
any
conversations, I would say in the conversations I had with the highway superintendent and with the supervisor, with a few other folks, the 206-10 F and G deal with basically what the goal of this was. So what the intent was is already in place. So pulling
I
them into
agree.
ordinance.
Yeah, we didn't realize the language was already in there. And then the resolution 5 is calling for the public hearing for the ice cream shop we just heard about, but it'll be on September 22nd, not September 8th. We originally had in there, and I think the change was already made by the town clerk. Any questions on that? Resolution 6 will be the public hearing for the Delta Sonic, and that will be at our September 8th meeting. And then we have resolution 7. That is the resolution and order after the public hearing regarding our sewer bonding. And this is all related to the DEC consent order. And thank you, Brian Kraus, for really keeping an eye on things and getting all that done. And then resolution 8 is also connected to all that. Anybody have any questions for Brian Kraus? Comments? Okay, resolution 9 is the right of entry. Somebody needs to use, we have a piece of property on Tolson, and they've asked permission. It's a vacant property. It's a vacant lot. They just want to use it to get into their lot. So this is the standard resolution. I think Pat Bowen put this together. With
Yeah, we
the,
got an email from him earlier explaining in more detail what this was about.
yeah, so that was resolution 9. Then we have 10 is this is all related to IT equipment, and we do have Lisa Bolognese on the phone or on the Zoom call if we have any questions for her. But she thought it was easier to end the lease option and buy some of the equipment now and save us quite a bit of money. Correct, Lisa? Oh, does anybody have any questions?
Yes,
for her?
Diane, that's correct. I'm hoping to
Okay.
buy some time before we have to get into another lease.
Yes, that's what it was for. Okay. All right. Then 11, we go into, we're going to accept a proposal from Greenman Peterson Incorporated for this feasibility study for the elimination of the East Delavan lift station. We're finally getting to that point where we're going to get that pump station eliminated and redirected. And we need this study. 12, this also is between, I think, Lisa and Kim First, the town clerk, about the records retention. Is this is Lisa, your area, correct?
Yes,
Lisa
I was
and
working
worked
with
on
Kim on this,
together.
but it's, yep.
Go ahead, Liz.
As Kim is the records management officer, she would really be in charge of this, but we work together. I've worked on it in the past, and these next couple of resolutions are all resolutions that really needed to be updated to clarify our FOIL policy and our retention schedule.
Good. Okay, good. And then 13 also about the designation, adding police officer Chudlinski as also a access officer for the police department, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, on 12, I just caught it. It's the first whereas on February 27th of 1989, this town board adopted the New York State records. I don't think any one of us were back around in 1989. It should be the town board.
Well, Jerry, we've come across this before. This town board, meaning this Cheektowaga town board. They always use that language. That's just been standard language. It doesn't necessarily mean the individuals that are here now.
Okay.
So where were we? 14 was the
14 goes along with 12 and 13 in that this will take the new FOIL policy or the new record retention schedule that is being adopted. And we created a policy for how we would deal with the FOIL requests when they came in.
Okay, good. Thank you for updating all that. I think that was very, it was a needed update. So thank you for doing that. Karen Marchese, I'll pass it on
Yes.
to you. to do
Okay,
the-
number 15 is our hiring and termination of part-time and seasonal employees. Hiring 2 part-time people in the facilities department, in the police department, a seasonal employee in the sanitation department, which is desperately needed, so I'm glad to see that. And also somebody being terminated from sewer maintenance. And then we have item 16 is
Real
the
quick,
appointment of,
Karen. I'm sorry,
I'm
Karen.
sorry.
On 15, for the seasonal, what position in sanitation is that for? What's the job title?
it's a laborer. It states right after the name of the department, laborer, $11.80 an hour, effective 8/24/20.
So, I mean, is just they'll be plugged into any general labor are they specifically tasked to whether it's grass pickup or something else there?
I believe that
That's kinda
Scott
what
will
I'm getting-
assign these part-timers or the seasonals to grass pickup. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I
Well,
appreciate it.
well,
Thank you.
for the most part, but sometimes he needs them if there are a lot of people on vacation.
Correct.
Needs
They
to put
fill
them
in,
on a route that is missing a laborer because they have to have that specified in the contract. So for the
Yes.
most part, they're on grass pickup, but they could be filling in for vacation sick people.
okay. Resolution 16 is the appointment of 2 pump operators. And this is a competitive position, so they both are provisional. And we had someone move out of the pump station, and also there was a vacancy. So this will bring John Nietzsche back to full staff. And it's Mark Stuckey Senior and Andrew Lipinoga. And they started actually this past week. They passed their pre-employment physicals, so they were able to start. And then we have number 17, the appointment of a court clerk, and Rita Escalante, and this is off a list. So she can be appointed permanently, effective tomorrow. Then we have the appointment of an administrative clerk in a temporary position, Patricia Domenico, who is in the department now. So this is a good transition for the department. And it's due to needing some help in that area. And then we have item 19 is authorization of student interns. Nicole Benzik and Beth World, both students at Hilbert. And Nicole is of Cheektowaga and Beth is of West Seneca. And they're going to, once this is finalized, become interns at the police department. And we have item 20 is the appointment of a clerk typist in the police department. And this is as a result of a retirement, and Catherine Lipchinsky, who is eligible for permanent appointment via Erie County Civil Service. And then we have a special event, a motorcade to honor General Casimir Pulaski. I will do that one. And let's see if there's another one. Then we have something under we have something on waivers.
Yeah, that was the one that Jill Gorman was talking about.
Exactly. The Just for Kids Memorandum of Understanding is on waivers tonight. And
Right.
that goes through our resolutions.
Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the work session because we need to leave this session and go on to the regular meeting. So I'll see you at the other meeting.
Do we have a second?
Hammer, Councilmember Hammer, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Diane, this is Pat. Do you need me to attend the town board meeting?